everything that we wish we knew before becoming parents.
When I brought my firstborn home, I'm like, what do I do now? Like, how do I put on a diaper properly? Like, what do I do when he cries? Like, everything, there's no playbook. Um,
Like, what should I buy? What should I pay attention to? What should I learn before my baby is born?
I didn't spend enough time on the afterbirth care. Don't worry too much about birth. It's going to be painful. And then after is like where you need to focus on. It's like sleep, breastfeeding. How do you get help? Do you have people that can help you? Anything that can give you an hour or two of time, more worth your time right now.
How do you survive sleep regression?
At least figure out like if you want daycare, do you want nanny, do you want part-time, full-time? Like you have to figure those out.
The gear that you actually need before giving birth versus something that is just completely a waste of money. Introduction to solid is a huge process. I wish someone had this episode for me because I had to learn it a very hard way.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of SaaSy Moms. I'm Wendy.
And I'm Anya. And today we have exciting episodes about pre-pregnancy checklists for everything that we wish we knew before becoming parents. Wendy, remember the checklist that I wanted us to launch?
Yeah, I
Now,
remember you actually asked me when you were pregnant.
yes,
It's like, hey, do you have a checklist?
exactly. And we had multiple episodes about some of this. Actually, this episode is special for us because we decided to talk about it because many of our followers and our fans had similar questions, right? They were wondering about, hey, like, what should I buy before my baby is born? What should I pay attention to before my baby is born? What should I learn before my baby is born? And I wish someone had this episode for me because I had to learn it a very hard way.
Yeah, well, like the funny thing is, we go to school for a bunch of things, but there's no school or playbook for being a parent. And I think I told you this before. I was when I brought my firstborn home, I'm like, what do I do now? Like, how do I put on a diaper properly? What do I do when he cries? Like, how do I distinguish all these things? Like, everything, there's no playbook. So you're kind of learning on the go. So I absolutely agree with you. I wish somebody has given me this Bible or playbook, so I'm not as stressed out about taking care of a newborn.
Exactly. And we definitely need to do this checklist and launch it online so that our audience can use it. But this will be one of our plans in the future. Anyways, so let's go through the common questions that everyone is curious about. One question actually is pretty common, and it's about pregnancy and, how to connect with the baby while the baby is not born yet, while baby is just in a tummy. And what do we do in order to really start developing the secure attachment with the baby? I will let you, Wendy, speak first because I
Yeah.
have my personal views on this and they can be
Yeah.
quite contradictory.
Okay. Well, I think how we bond is obviously, the woman is carrying the baby. And then how I think most of the time it's like you're naturally connected when you feel the kicks and everything else. I don't think I actually did anything special during pregnancy, to be completely honest. It was just like I did my day to day. I think I narrated a lot based on what I was doing. So at least like there's some recognition of my voice. And then, by the end of the night, like my husband would do the same. And I think even my firstborn was doing the same when I was my second pregnancy. So I don't know if I'm like, I actually don't know the answer to this question. How do we bond, or is there like scientific things that we should be doing? But no, I was just more communication for me.
Okay. Actually, I did a little bit of a research here because I honestly don't think you should be spending a lot of effort on bonding with a baby while baby is in a tummy.
Yeah.
I think they are already quite good and comfortable there, and there is a science that actually was doing this research already. And what the evidence from this article supports is that, the baby's health and the baby's well-being will directly correlate with a couple of things. And this is mainly mother's physical health during pregnancy, mother's mental health during pregnancy, stable and supporting home environment, responsive caregiving after birth, and obviously consistent attachment after birth. So if I would be,
Sense.
let's say, a mother or a father, I would focus on these things more. So during pregnancy, focus on mother as much as possible. This is success to having like, chill and healthy baby. But
I
obviously,
completely
after
agree.
birth is what you should be spending more time.
Actually, I agree. I think it's the mental health. Like your body is changing a lot as you're going
Yeah.
through pregnancy. Like one of my friends actually, pregnant right now. She's in her second trimester, but like the first trimester was hell. Like it was hell. It was really tough. At least like you can't eat, or some people have morning sickness. Usually, I would say the second trimester is where you feel a little bit more yourself, and then it's like third trimester hit, you are not yourself again because you're so big and then you have to pee like so often at night. Like I still remember those. So it's like a lot is changing in your body. And I don't think a lot of moms give enough credit for themselves in terms of like, how do I take care of myself? So I think that's really important, both mental health and as well as physical, because your body's going through a lot. And then you're gonna have once the baby is born, you will have no sleep. So just take care of yourself, I think, when you're pregnant and enjoy it.
Exactly. And I think something that I would be, let's say, as a father or as a mother, especially as a working woman in a working family household, something that I would definitely learn are two things. And was just my experience because I didn't learn about this at all. I didn't know that it will matter. Like when I was pregnant, I thought about a lot of different things. I thought, oh, I will be tired all the time, or I will be like, will not have time to cook, or hey, I will be emotionally tired because my baby will require a lot of attention from me. So I was like thinking about a lot of different scenarios, but the two fundamental things that I was never thought about, and this becomes like something that every woman and every household struggles together, is breastfeeding and baby sleep.
Yes.
So I think like learn about those things and focus your energy on learning that thing. Obviously, baby already can do some, they feel like they smell you, they can hear your voice. But discussing this approaches for sleep, baby sleep, can also, make your baby hear your voice and kind of connect with you.
Yeah. I think really like during pregnancy, focus on yourself. And then like learning more about the newborn stage. Cause like I feel like when I was pregnant, I was so worried about giving birth. That's all I focused on.
Mm-hmm.
Cause I was like, oh,
Me too.
what am I supposed to do? Like, how am I gonna do this and all that, right? And then I read a bunch of books on like giving birth and
Mm-hmm.
like the plan. I had a plan, together. But then everything it's like not according to plan, obviously. I didn't spend enough time on the afterbirth care. Any moms that I chat with now that are pregnant, I'm like, don't worry too much about birth. There's many ways, to make that happen. It's gonna be painful. It's gonna be what it is. It's just how it is. And then after is like where you need to focus on. It's like sleep, breastfeeding, and then it's like, how do you get help? Like, how do you get help? Like, do you have people that can help you? Like maybe a close friend or like a parent, anything that can like give you an hour or two of time. Like it's so beneficial. So I think caring for those things will be more worth your time right now and enjoy it.
Exactly.
Pregnancy, it's a fun thing, kind of sometimes. Which trimester? Second trimester was fun. Third, not so well.
Well, I mean, I think you just like third was like not so well, but I think you're also talking from a perspective of having twins and
That's true.
surviving
That's
third
true.
trimester with
Surviving
a twin.
yeah. The third one was tough.
You see, something that I actually struggled when I was pregnant was something that, like, I don't know. So the baby itself is baby, right? Like, again, like for me, baby was a desirable. I did panic a lot if, let's say, I don't hear my baby's kick, you
Yes.
know, like, "Oh, today I didn't hear my baby's kick. What happened? Oh my
Yes.
God, right? Like a
Oh
panic.
my god, Vince always had to, like, "Oh, I need a, like, a big sweet drink, like apple juice." Like, I'm calling them my doctor. There were so many situations like that. Like, I stressed myself out so much. Yeah, especially
Yeah,
the
so
firstborn.
exactly. So just learn about that too and how you are going, like maybe with the ways, and like also like read some literature around how often baby should be kicking or not. I don't think they need to kick every day, but I think maybe if they do once in 2 or 3 days, it's all right. But don't get her. But
Yeah,
yeah.
for reassurance, I think just drinking something sugary always has helped me kind of reassure myself. So like eat
Mhm.
a, I don't know, a chocolate, which is great. Try apple juice was something that I did. Obviously not in like excessive amounts, just because we have that pregnancy diabetes
Mhm.
that could happen, but something that's easy to do. You don't have to call the doctor or panic. You don't have to panic. Just drink something sweet. I think that's the
Yeah.
best way to reassure yourself.
Yeah, I think that's why my baby was kicking because I actually had like one of the habits where I ate dark chocolate every
Oh
morning
yeah, I
and I
remember
was
that.
craving it so much. Like every morning I had dark chocolate.
I remember that. I remember you also had a chocolate bar that said like "SaaSy Moms." Was
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. It was a sassy chocolate.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was so
Yeah.
funny. It was also pink because it has
Yes.
pomegranate inside. So what I wanted to say is like, for example, one of the difficulties actually for me was obviously like I love the baby. I wanted the baby to kick, but I experienced certain challenge of actually placenta because I don't know, personally, I felt my placenta a lot. And I felt like it was like sucking because babies eat through placenta. And I
Mm.
honestly, like, I didn't have good feelings about it. I wanted it to get out of me as soon as possible because I felt like it was something like sucking my energy, sucking everything from me. And it was driving me a little bit crazy, to be fully honest. I felt
Yeah.
it like,
But then, like, the funny thing is, when I was pregnant, actually, for the first one, I was like, oh, I can't wait till, the baby comes. I want the babies to be out of my tummy because it's like so uncomfortable and all that. But like, now that I'm thinking back, now that I've given birth, I'm like, actually, the harder part was when they were born. So,
absolutely.
so the longer they're in there, I feel like even then it's like they're more adjusted to the real world. But that was just kind of an afterthought after you've gone through the different stages.
Yeah, and another funny thing that also I want to kind of mention because I watched a reel about it. Like obviously when baby is born, it's one of the hardest period
Mm,
because kind of baby requires your attention and a sleep like you don't sleep, you breastfeed. With some moms they do sleep though. It's important to note that there can be positive experiences. Everything depends on your baby, their temperament, their like environment routine and everything. But temperament, sorry. But I saw like this mom who was on the Instagram and she was just crying. She was crying and saying everyone says that the first year is hard, but you know what? Anyone like the baby before the 12 months, yes, it's hard physically, but it's the best experience. Then they grow up, they scream, they don't like you, they always
it's true.
contradict with you. So
Tell me about it, Anya. This is what I'm struggling with.
so it's so funny. She said, like, I know it's hard, but I don't care. This is like the best period because they're just there. You have to take care, but they at least don't argue. And like, because
Yeah.
right now it
I
feels like
Yep.
no matter what I do as a mother, nothing helps.
No,
And
I
I'm in
completely
the
agree.
stage.
I completely agree. It's like every stage is hard, like
Yeah.
regardless of which stage.
Yeah.
So it's like sleep and then eat. And then it's like they're running around and you're trying to contain them. They're saying no to everything. And then it's like a bunch of other things, right? That happen. It's like everything is hard. So
So
just be
pregnancy
prepared
is
for
the
it.
best.
I don't know about that
And
either.
they're just for the first 9 months, they're in
I don't
belly.
know. There's just good and bad.
Okay. Anyways, okay. So on this topic about like, let's think about okay, as a parent, what do you need to learn, right? And we already have some questions about like sleep, for example. So some parents are already thinking about this, which is great. You guys are smart. And the question is like, for example, how do you survive sleep regression? So,
Huh.
4 month baby is born, it's 4 months. In general, sleep, like any advice we can give what people can learn about sleep, what people can learn about sleep regression, how moms can significantly improve their experience with baby sleep.
So for me, I think it's really, really important to have a schedule. What I mean by that, then it's like a routine with the baby. So like the biggest tip I give to any moms that I know is never ever put your baby to sleep on your arms or leverage like yourself as the clutch. Make sure, even when they're like first newborn, I know it's tough because obviously you want to, take care of that baby, but setting some guidance and setting some like, I guess like regular routine, it would be super helpful. Regardless of like regression or as they growing through this and like detachment and all these other stuff. I got through all of that by setting a really good routine. I messed everything up with the firstborn. He didn't sleep through the night until he was like 9, 10 months. And I was like, with the second time around, I'm like, I can't do this anymore, especially with toddler and twins. So very early on, like even at the hospital, it was more like, hey, we rock, we do everything, soothe them, and then I put them onto the bed. Like that is very, very important. And then the other thing is like watch for their wake hours. I think that's the most important thing. Don't make them overtired, undertired. It's just not helpful. There's so many resources online that can help you like understand like what that wake hour is. But those are the two main things. Like never feed or never rock before they actually fully sleep. Or else like you become the clutch and it's hard to train and, back out of that later on. That's my biggest advice.
Exactly, exactly. So, this is what I wanted to also mention, that everyone needs to obviously determine your own kind of, your own way of how you want to manage sleep. One of the questions is also, should baby sleep in a crib or should baby sleep like with you, or when should a baby move to their own room? So, I think this is something that you can determine as a household, right? Because, like, for example, I moved my baby to their own room at 5 months. At this time, my baby was already sleeping through the night, and we passed all of the stages. Like, my baby was not eating. My baby knew that he will not have food at night. He was sleeping in his own crib all the time. And I struggled with it because
Mm.
guess what? Feeding when a baby wants to eat and they are sleeping with you in a bed is much easier than actually waking up, taking baby up, feeding them, and then putting baby down to the crib, right? So you have to determine your strategy yourself. But regardless of a strategy, you as a mom, you will benefit, and as a household too, will benefit a lot from a schedule. So online, there are a lot of free resources. Look at the information about awake windows and age appropriate awake windows. Don't overstimulate your baby, right? This is actually one of the biggest also advice that I will give, and something that I wish I did. You know how some parents, they actually say, "Hey, for 2 weeks we don't want any guests. We don't care if you're
Mm.
my relative, grandmother, grandfather, for 2 weeks, no guests." Honestly, I wish I implemented that. I think the baby, once the baby is born, needs just a calming environment. They honestly, like, usually will be just like a little sleeping angel for 3 months. So
Three
they
months? I
mainly,
don't know about that. Like 2 weeks.
for me, it was zero. For me, it was zero. But I have friends who were for 3 months. So I,
No. Definitely not 3 months. I feel like for me, maybe like 1 to 2 weeks, maybe? Like, maybe the first week. And I don't know what it is. It's like birth trauma, and then you have adrenaline. So, like, you can, like, function without much sleep, and then after a little bit of that adrenaline is gone, like, you're completely crushed.
yeah. Exactly. So, okay. Anyways, different fears, but like what I say is that your baby will be calm if you create a calming environment. Like, don't buy crazy loud toys. I don't think they need it up until they're like 8 months, honestly. Just they need just
They
like
don't
some soft
Yeah,
toys, like
this
something very chill. Like,
Yeah, yeah. They actually don't need any toys, to be
exactly.
completely honest. I know, like, we spoil our firstborn. I remember, like, getting all these, like, "Well, it's 0 to 3 months." Like, I went to a shopping mall, and then I'm like, "Oh, 0 to 3 months, I need to get one of this," and, like, this
Yeah.
month, whatever. They don't do any, like, play much. And then I think what is more important, which I learned after, is that contrast. So they need the black and white contrast because they still need to develop their eyesight and things like that and depth. So, like, read up a little bit more on, like, the things that they need to fully develop in order for I think those are more important. You don't need, like, flashy buttons. You don't need these flashy toys that cost, a bunch and whatever it is. Like, they don't play with toys, I wanna say, until actually, what they do play is the teething thing. So they do
Hmm.
need something to hold. Like, you need to, like, teach them how to hold stuff, how, like, finger
Hmm.
this. necessity, but other than that, I don't feel like you need much.
Exactly. So don't overstimulate, follow
Yes.
schedule. And trust me, like you will get through the sleep regression much easier.
Oh,
Same as
yes.
teething. Like honestly, like I don't think I ever had a problem with teething with my child up
Yes.
until like recently when the four molars were coming out. And
Yeah.
again, it was a lot of overstimulation that affected him, like, crying at 17 months old. I feel like if your baby sleeps well,
Yes.
because you have to understand when your baby sleeps well, their nervous system is calm. So
Yes.
if they have a stressor of a teething on top of it or sleep regression, they are still much more calm. But if
Yep.
your baby is not sleeping, their nervous system is overloaded. So the teething, anything just pushes over the
Totally.
edge for them. Sleep is like the foundation for your
I
parenting survival guide.
I
So
agree.
that,
Like,
yeah,
just think about yourself. Like, I am super cranky when I don't have like,
yeah,
6, 7 hours of sleep minimum.
exactly.
So like think of a kid when he can't even talk to you. Only thing he can do is like, cry. And he has no idea why is it bugging him. Um, so it's like sleep, it's absolutely the foundation.
Exactly. Okay, so basically, sleep regression is easy if your baby is on a schedule, if your baby is on a routine, low stimulation, everything is predictable for them. So then just all you do is just roll through it. And final advice on sleep regression is hey, don't feed the baby every 30 minutes that they cry. Let's say if you feed a baby and then they wake up every 30 minutes and they can't connect a cycle, try to first help them to sleep without food. Only
Mhm.
give food like absolutely like every 4 hours. If your routine is every 4 hours, only give them a food on a fourth wake up.
Yeah.
This will like I remember for me, it like the sleep regression ended in 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, like, and then just to say, like, sleep regressions gonna happen. They're gonna get sick,
Yeah.
things like that. It will disrupt their sleep. But then if you just continue with the routine that you have set, so meaning like how they wake up and then you change their diaper and like do like the routine, just make sure you separate the feed as well as like hold from actually of them falling asleep, then you will get foodies quicker and don't let like these things like scare you. I remember like
Yeah.
with my firstborn, I was like blaming everything under the sun on like why he's crying, all these things. Where I'm like, oh, he has like this and he has that, and then you read on internet, and it's like, oh, this must match this. But now, like I'm kind of thinking back, is like, okay, everything is because I didn't give him, the routine, the structure for him to actually fall asleep on his own, so he gets the rest
Mhm.
he needs. So it's really because of that. So, anyways, enough
Absolutely.
of we have so many episodes on sleep because that was the topic for Anya and I for a good, I want to say like 6, 7 months.
Okay, exactly. It was a big topic, so please listen to our earlier episodes. I think episodes from 1 till 8 was all about sleep. It's just they are mixed with the product management and product marketing management topics too, so you can always go back. But now, interesting, right? So now you say, okay, don't buy toys, which actually I pretty much agree. I would just like maybe teething toys, something calming, just couple
Mm,
of toys. Social media pushes us to buy a lot.
yes.
So let's give maybe the list of things that baby gear that you actually need before giving birth versus something that is just completely a waste of money and will not serve any good for you. If you want, you can start.
Yeah, I can like probably tell you my top ones that I can think of. I didn't really think through this, but obviously, I think the electrical breast pump, make sure you buy the double one. Don't, cheap out and then buy the single one. Because I think I was about to buy a single one, and one of my friends like, absolutely not. Like, why would you do that to yourself? You have to pump like twice. I'm like, oh yeah, like obviously I wasn't thinking. And then the stroller system. I don't know if it's like that for kind of global, but I remember buying this like very expensive stroller system, which has like the baby seat and the stroller and blah 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 blah. You don't really need that, to be completely honest. I think you need one that is like, obviously look at the ratings, make sure it's super safe for the baby, because obviously their head, they can sit upright, and make sure they're all protected, things like that. Like the car seat is very important. But for a stroller, well, obviously the stroller system, like there's one that's attached to the stroller with the car seat. But beyond, like I remember 12 months, I was using like just a light, stroller. Like, I don't need a fancy stroller for all these things, right? It's better just to have one that is easily I can easily transport him, it's easy to carry, it's not too heavy. So I remember buying one and I hardly use it for my firstborn. And then the other thing was there's so many like gears out there now. There's like, what is it, the formula, like anything that can save you time. I think you need to be a judge of that. I was talking to one of my friend, like now they have like not even like baby bottle warmer. They have like ones that will automatically make you a bottle for your babies. Like I don't know if it's absolutely needed, but if it save you sanity and save you time, and give you a little bit more time to sleep, then it's worth it. Because I bought a lot of things that were like my husband were like, "Hey, do you really need that?" I'm like, "Well, it saves me like 30 minutes, then yes." Like you're running on like really, really not that much time, especially when it's a newborn. So anything that can save you time, give you more time to sleep, like invest in it. But don't buy everything before the baby is like here. Like you buy it as you go. Obviously, only the critical things, and then the other thing I would invest in is probably a, what are those called again? Like sleep sack. So in the
Oh
early
yeah,
days,
yeah,
yeah,
natural ones.
yeah, like with Nathan, I was using the wrap because I don't know if sleep sack was a thing when he was born, but no, it was a game changer. You just zip it and then it's like it's good to go. You're not scared of how to like wrap it. Uh, I don't remember what else. I think those are my like the big ones I remember.
Yeah, so a couple of things that I want to just comment on that. Yeah, so again, like for example, for breastfeeding, everything it just depends on your strategy. If you decide to mix and do breastfeeding with a formula, then yeah, it will be actually because there are like formula making machines and stuff like that. They will all save you money. If you will, pump just once a month, maybe, you know, like everything depends on the strategy, and you will understand the strategy, as you mentioned, in a couple of months. Something that I personally invested money into and still investing is into a good diapers. Like
Hmm.
I personally am caring a lot about like being natural and stuff like that. So I do buy diapers which are equal by natty. I also don't buy like wipes because baby wipes for my baby they cause like allergies and rednesses. I don't like that. So I personally like obviously like right now with daycare things change, but like I personally like just, try to use water in order to clean a
How do you get off
baby.
a pube?
Well, just you first to do the toilet paper and then you just scoop it with your arms.
Oh my
You
goodness.
can
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm not disgusted by that. Honestly,
No,
for
no,
me it's
no.
fine.
I am
You can have gloves. If you are like a little bit concerned, you can also do the gloves.
okay, I'm a lazy mom. I use wipes
Yeah,
usually.
like for me, like every time I use wipes, my baby's bum is a little bit red, and I don't like it. And in fact, I also don't have lotions. What I buy is just coconut oil
That's what I do
from
as well.
the stores. Yeah, from actually the stores, not like
Yeah, yeah. It's like the cooking,
yeah,
like
cooking.
coconut oil. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. They actually have that in Costco. So I buy a big thing and then
yeah,
I just separate it into little jars. Actually, it's really good for their bum too.
exactly.
Yeah.
If it's a good bum to protect from the diaper. And I think something which is a waste of time is just buying those changing tables because
What? How do you change them?
I change him on a towel.
You hurt your back?
No, I think I'm strong woman. Well,
Um,
this is
so
where the
funny enough.
disagreements are coming
Um,
in.
I was away, like we went away on vacation, and then I was obviously the only way it's on the bed, right? Or like when you're out, obviously there's changing table, but it was like so tough, and then like it was so hard to like hold their legs. So I don't know how you do it without a changing table.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know
yeah.
how you do it. But then you know what trick that I have learned from one of my friend is she used a drawer. So she already had a drawer and all she had to do was buy a I guess like a changing table mat or the the changing table what are they called like mattress I guess the small little ones and then she put it on top. So it was like obviously comfortable for the baby but she didn't need to buy an extra changing table. So I thought that was really smart.
Yeah, like I think anything like I think you can do it changing table from anything.
Yeah,
And
I
right
think it's
now,
like
like, the changing table will be also like good only for like the first, I don't know how
yeah,
many
it's not that
months. It's
helpful.
not like helpful for when they are like 1 years old and already all crazy. So another thing is that I like obviously buy baby towels. Like I like my baby using their own towels. I don't
Yes,
like
yes.
them using our towels. And a little bath. where you can put them into side of the bath. I
Yeah.
actually will recommend the one that is great. Obviously, buy a carrier, baby carrier. It
Oh,
will help
yes.
to wear baby everywhere where you need. And also something that I loved with baby, like cocoon, like a baby, like a little like thing where I think it's very safe to keep the baby there up until they can turn. So they just lie there and you can bring them anywhere you want. You can bring them to your living room, to your bedroom. You can even put it in a crib during crib walks. You can also put it into in a crib to sleep, or you can put them into a stroller during stroller walks. Obviously, please do read your safety guidance of your country and your everything. So, like, I'm not here to recommend about safety. You please look at your safety yourself. But this is what I did, and
Actually,
I liked
yeah,
it.
on that note, I don't know if what you were mentioning is kinda like breastfeeding pillow. Is that kinda similar or different?
Yes. So breastfeeding pillow is was always amazing too, because I was otherwise like with breastfeeding pillows, I could have like worked or like, scroll a phone or do like drinking tea because the baby would be on a pillow. And actually I didn't buy it up until my baby was like 3 months. And I regretted that I didn't buy it sooner. So super
Yeah,
recommending.
because I also use that for, like, popping up the baby for, like, tummy time as well as, like, sitting when they're a little bit older. So it was beneficial for me. Like, I was using the breastfeeding pillow for breastfeeding, but the breastfeeding pillow, it's, like, kind of like a U shape. So it was great for, like, I started learning how to sit. I kinda just use that as, like, a cushion to let them sit. So I felt it was quite useful for me.
Yeah. So these are the things that I would buy. Yeah, I didn't buy a pom until I needed it, and then clothing also buy as little as possible. They just don't need
So
it. Just
hard.
buy. Yeah, it's hard. If you want to waste money, you can.
No, it is hard because it's like, everything is so cute, especially when they're, like, young, but no, I completely agree. They outgrow, like, so quickly. The
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so this was my essential list. I actually did like the swaddle blankets because I usually use them even just as a blanket. Let's say I
Mm,
go outside, I use the swaddle
yeah,
blanket to breastfeed him.
yeah,
Or let's say my baby is in a stroller and it is sunny, so I just put a blanket
yeah.
on top to don't get the sun come through the stroller. It was pretty useful for me.
Yes,
And
I agree.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
So this is our checklist, I guess.
Were there
Um,
other questions that we got?
yeah, I think a couple of more questions is more about like in general when it comes to like daycare, nurseries, playgrounds, preschool. When do we need to look at this type of facilities? Or even communities, like maybe some communities, parents group, when should I think about this type of like organizing my life in a new way? I want to meet my
Yeah.
parents. I want to get my child taken care of. Like any advice?
Well, for us, I think Canada, it's kind of crazy. I think it's a 2-year wait. I don't know if it's still like that, but when I had my kid, it was 2 years. So it's like as soon as you know you're pregnant, you need to put down your name almost.
So actually, I have a different experience because I personally experimented with nanny, right? So
Right,
I
right,
thought
right,
at the
right.
first, I think I was kind of lucky to get into a daycare. But I would say the thing is that I think 2 years wait is maybe if you have a particular daycare in mind. So let's say if you decide that you will work starting from X month, obviously think about it right now. I don't know how this works in UK, but or in Europe or in US, but in Canada, it is quite difficult to get into one.
Yes.
Now, for me personally, and I think if I would want only this location, likely I would have put my baby as soon as I can. Now, for my personal experience, because I wasn't picky, I was ready to drop him off anywhere. I actually found out that we have a group, Facebook group, where it said like childcare in Vancouver or childcare in Victoria, and different daycares are posting their listings there. So I went
Mm,
through that group. I found a couple of those. Also, just like through a playground with a parent, I learned about daycare, which was right
mm.
next to us. And we just went everywhere. And I would say the wait everywhere was like 2 months.
Oh,
Obviously, you
that's not
still
too
need
bad.
to know where this 2 months, but usually the spot here and there was always opening within the 2 months timeline.
Yes.
So that was my experience again. But daycare that I'm in is not like the closest, but it's still 10-minute drive. So which
Uh,
is like quite okay, but this works for our family and
yeah.
for me. So it wasn't
I think
so bad.
do your research. Do your research
Yeah.
because like I know when I was looking it was a long time like and I wasn't even picky. It was just like
Mhm.
anywhere that was like close to me. And it was like at least I want to say like 2 years was like on the maybe the better daycare that I've heard of, and then maybe there was one that was like at least a year. So I think depends on the time. I think you do need to at least figure out like if you want daycare, do you want nanny, do you want part-time, full-time, like you have to figure those out and then like do your research, right? I think there's a lot of what are those called like open houses where you can like
Yeah.
schedule a time and like meet the people that are in there. It gives you like a good understanding of like okay, what do I look for? Because a lot of times like I think when I was browsing too, I'm like, oh, I don't even know what I'm looking for in a daycare because like and like good people, like what else do I need to look for? Like no idea. So I think checking in with a bunch of daycares helped me kind of narrow it down like, oh, I didn't like this or I didn't like that. And then some of the daycares that I've visited as well, like they offer like lunch, snacks, whereas some that doesn't. So like it really depends on like what you want. Oh, the
Mhm.
other thing was the hours. Some are like, 7 to 6,
Yeah.
some are like 8 to 5. So
Yeah.
like it just really depends on like what are your criteria?
Exactly. And actually, a couple of things that were important for me personally, and actually, I would say no. A couple of things that I didn't know were important, but they ended up being important. So, for example, the daycare for my kids, they do provide lunches and snacks. This actually is big for me
Yes.
because, like, now my baby eats, and like, I really when it's a weekend, I'm like, "Oh my god, what do I feed my baby with?" It's like a lot of food and they will not eat
And
the same food. So actually this has became critical. I was like, "I'm so happy this daycare takes care of his food."
the funny thing about these things is like because every kid gets the same thing, your
Yeah.
kid is most likely not going to be as picky. I
Mhm.
found that because like anything I packed, because like we have these fun days where like you can pack your own thing and then you can share with other people. Like, they don't eat as well. I feel like they want to be in a group, and then that helps feed that. So no, definitely. So there's so much stuff that I never knew until I actually did that research. I'm like, oh, that's nice. Like, and then the hours was another thing I didn't know of. And the ratio too. Like obviously they have a government ratio, but they sometimes like some daycares have like their own kind of daycare ratios of like adults to kids. So something to just watch out for. There's so much that you learn through just talking to at least like two or three. Then you kind of figure out like, hey, what do you need for a daycare?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And hours also are very important. Like I like that our daycare is flexible in terms of like dropping off kids at 7:50, for example. It is
Hmm.
important for me because my work very often starts with a meeting at 8.
Yeah,
So I can't like have a daycare which starts at 8, for example.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, and final question. Let's talk a little bit about food because actually eating solids, it's also a big part of once a baby born, they start like any advice here. I can start about food because like for example, in Canada, I think pediatrician guidance is that you only introduce food at like solids at 6 months. Do remember that introducing solids does not mean that your baby gets off milk. Your baby gets off milk closer to 12 months.
Hmm.
So that's like very important that the introduction to solid is a huge like process. Now, for me, for example, my baby was interested in solids like much sooner. He was already like wanted to buy banana at 4 months. And I know some moms do it even at 4 months. Now, I decided to start at 5 months and I started giving my baby solids of banana and avocado. Starting from 5 months, it worked good for my baby. It never created any issues. Nothing was really a problem. There is a new kind of wave of like this baby led weaning where you only give baby like big chunks of everything. Personally, I did have a little bit of a goal of feeding my baby because I was struggling with breastfeeding. So I actually did a combination of a baby led weaning where certain foods were served to him as chunks and big bites that he could have explored. But there were pieces of foods like avocado, for example, which I mashed. And there were a lot of like porridges that I gave him, which were just spoon fed. So, again, you choose what is best for you as a parent, right? So, all advice I think we give to you is just you decide on a strategy. What do you want? Do you want your baby to sleep with you, or is it important for you and your partner to have a privacy? Do you want a baby to sleep well, or are you okay to baby to sleep like wake up every 2 hours? Do you want like to get them on food as quickly as possible, or do you want them to keep eating milk up until 12 months and only then introduce solids, right? Different parents get their different approaches. I find that as a working mom, I would have preferred my baby to be as independent and as less dependent on me as possible. That's why all of my strategies that I implemented were always in consideration with my baby while also my work and my time that I need in order to work. So that's why I did like it as soon as possible.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. There is like one caveat that I would add to that is the reason why I actually introduced food around like 5, 6 months as well is well, it was a surprise to me that my youngest son, he had allergy to peanuts. So when I gave him
Mhm.
the smallest amount in 6 months, he was allergic. And
Mhm.
he had his whole back kind of puffy, his ears started puffing. So we had to actually bring him to the ER. It
Mm.
was good that we found out so early because it allowed us to be in the line for the, what do they call,
Mm.
immunotherapy, yeah,
Mhm.
immunotherapy, session when he was around 2 or 3 because the
Mm.
optimal age is actually before, I think, 4 or 5 in order to start that. So
Mhm.
now he's completely allergic free to peanuts. He can eat, like,
Mhm.
peanuts. So I think the earlier you start, the better just in terms of, like, exposing their body to different allergens. Like, I don't know what it is in
Mhm.
Canada, but I don't know why kids are allergic to nuts. Like, I have no idea why.
Mhm.
Like, in Asia,
Mhm.
where I was born, this is not a thing. So like, I don't know if it's
Yeah,
the
it's
weather or the environment that is causing, like, the allergies, but I realized that a lot of kids, even, like, at their kindergarten and things like that, of many of them are allergic to, peanuts and other nuts, is the reason is, like, their parents haven't exposed them, early enough to catch it early enough for this kinda immunotherapy session to work. So just something to keep in mind, 'cause, yeah, like, I'm so lucky that he was able to pass that test, he was able to do immunotherapy, and be able to eat peanuts, and I don't have to worry about his allergy.
I see. That's great. Yeah, absolutely. My kid didn't have an allergy. I don't think has ever had it anything, so I'm
Yeah.
lucky in this sense.
Yeah, so, like, I think exposing them, like, even, my oldest one, he had a little bit of sensitivity to, cashews. So just
Mm.
really exposing him to it, like, now he's, like, not really sensitive to it anymore. So I think the the more vast of exposure you can have to the kid, I feel like it's better for them to build that, I guess, tolerance for the different allergies, especially in Canada, because it's so common.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, just to give your baby to try as many foods as possible. Also, like I wasn't like they also always said that hey, you introduce a food one day and then like only in 3 days you introduce another food and then in 3 days another. And honestly, like I never followed it. I think like for me, the biggest what I researched perfect like what I researched is the biggest problem is anaphylactic shock. So this is the allergy that actually like swallows things. So like let's say if your baby's throat is
Yeah, that's what
swallowed and
happened.
they can't breathe, right? So this is the biggest problem. So but it usually shows up like immediately.
It is.
So you give a little bit immediately. So I wasn't like so cautious about like doing this 3 days, once one food in 3 days. I was
Yeah.
criticized by my parents and by everyone, trust me. But
I
I
don't think
thought
that's
like,
a yeah, I didn't
yeah,
really do that, but I think what I did do, it was like there were a list of things that I know were more prone to being allergic. So
yeah,
obviously nuts
exactly.
being one, even strawberries, tomatoes,
Mhm.
those ones I was a little bit more careful on if when I
Mhm.
first introduced them. It was like, at lunch, not during dinner time, things like that, like not before their nap, things like that, just that you need to be careful of. There's a list of things that it's like they're more prone to being allergic. So those things I think you need to watch out for and like introduce like kind of slowly and like kind of in like the smallest amount you can. Just so then you don't cause too much of an action. Because even with peanut butter, I gave like the smallest amount and he was
Yeah.
like poofed up like so quickly.
Yeah. That's
Yeah, and
great.
I had never seen that
I
because I'm like, none of like my husband or I, like we have this nuts allergy. So it was a shock to us. So we immediately called a doctor and everything. So yeah, like I think those things you need to be have a plan for it. Like the more allergic kind of related fruits and vegetables and nuts and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, start with the banana. I think banana, avocado, mango is like super
Yes.
safe. Do that.
Yeah.
Potatoes, I don't know, some porridges, and then go from there.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's everything for today in terms of our pre-pregnancy preparation guide for you girls and for mothers and fathers. So, yeah, I guess we are excited to be part of the working moms and working parents community, and we are always searching for more topics to discuss. So please comment, share our podcast, because sharing, subscribing to our podcast will create more episodes. And we are here to always support you.
Yeah. Bye for now.
Bye for now.